Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the CSL. Tonight, we open up with Week 10. Or I guess we wrap up Week 10 with a big match from the East. Out of Pennsylvania, we have Penn State, and from New York, we have Stony Brook University. With Week 10 already here, the road to the DreamHack is getting shorter and shorter, and every match matters. We do want to give a big shout out to our sponsors, Twitch. A big thanks to them for sponsoring the CSL and featuring our matches weekly. We're proud to be affiliated with the largest gaming stream provider in the world. Asus ROG is the presenting sponsor of the CSL this year. Asus makes some of the world's best gaming PCs, laptops, and monitors. And if you didn't know, ROG stands for Republic of Gamers. And because they believe so strongly in gamers and the future of gaming, they are funding this season's travel to DreamHack and our prize pool for the year. Be sure to follow their social media at Asus_ROG and thank them for sponsoring the CSL. Help them know that it means a lot that they support the little guys. StarCraft 2 and Hearthstone registrations have finished, so you can check out your school's schedule and groups on our website, cstarleague.com. Broadcast schedules are out there as well. CSGO is on here every single Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, so make sure you check them out and don't miss the action. And League of Legends is covered every Monday and Friday, so you get a little bit of double dip. It sounds like once a week, but you get to watch that Monday, Friday action for League. If you're into that stuff, I'm not really into League, so I guess I will promote that you come here every Tuesday and Thursday instead and spend it with myself and Gorgon the Wonder Cow. Speaking of Gorgon the Wonder Cow, he's my intrepid co-caster here every week with myself, Toffees. How are you doing tonight, Gorgon? All right, it sounds like Gorgon's having a little bit of an issue getting his mic running, so we'll wait for him to unmute. In the meantime, we've got through the business stuff. Let's talk about what's in front of us and the matches we are about to see. We are going to have, let's see, this matchup between...
Let's try this.
There it is. There it is. How you doing tonight?
Skype didn't want to recognize my microphone for some reason, so I had to switch over real fast. But I was just about to say I'm really excited to be getting out of scrim season and back into the actual meat of the matter.
Right.
Teams are forced to go against each other for a full 3-game series and with a little bit of skin on the game.
This is skin in the game, 3-game series. Now, this is week 10, so we have a couple weeks left till we go to DreamHack in May and start the playoff series a little bit before that. This is Penn State is 5-3 in the overall. Stony Brook is 6-2. So Stony Brook does have the higher seed advantage. However, both of these teams need to secure this win to get themselves to a good spot during the playoff run. And that's important, Gorgon, because only the top 4 teams from playoffs get a free flight and the experience of playing for the $15,000 in scholarship funds at DreamHack Austin. So both teams need to win this game is really the moral of the story. And to be completely honest with you, Gorgon, we count map score if it comes down to ties. So if this goes to 3, both teams find themselves in a tough situation. These teams really want to win this 2-0 to try to secure that good seed.
Absolutely, and we're seeing both teams coming out with relatively tried and true strategies. Undying, Witch Doctor, a lot of physical damage to go alongside that decay and the amplified damage that comes from the Flesh Golem. Stony Brook University going with the Gyrocopter and Spirit Breaker, 2 of the most prioritized and most successful heroes in Pro Dota for this patch.
Absolutely. So talk a little more about some try-hard and true strategies as I put on my, sorry about the Velcro, my anti-painful wrist wrap. Sorry.
Anti-painful wrist wrap.
I don't know, what do you call that?
The official, is that the medical term?
I don't know. I don't want to say that I have, what's that thing that makes your wrist hurt a lot? You know what I'm talking about. I don't want tendonitis or something like that. I don't want to say the word because then maybe I end up with it, but it is very sore.
Whatever Phage has, it's making his arms fall off of last
that poor guy. All right, that's enough talking about the intricacies of the behind-the-scenes world of Dota. Let's talk about what you're looking at on the screen. Now, Witch Doctor Undying is a very brutal lane combo. Honestly, a Witch Doctor Undying terrifies me if I'm drafting because that gives you such flexibility in terms of where you want to put them. If you want to run an aggressive lane and aggressive try or even aggressive defensive lane, you can do it with these 2 heroes.
Yeah, they can basically run this however they want. I expect that we're going to see Witch Doctor probably take as a safe lane support, but he'll end up roaming pretty early on in this game. Looking at Spirit Breaker Gyrocopter, once again, they can lane that a lot of ways. More than likely, the Gyrocopter will take a safe lane farming position, and the Spirit Breaker will be a semi-support, but they could off-lane the Spirit Breaker, or they could mid the Gyrocopter if they really wanted to.
Do you have the ability to turn your mic up just a tiny bit on your side?
I can try just a little.
All right. So Quat banned out, the Darkseer banned out as well. We've got a Wind Ranger and an Ember Spirit locked out. So it looks like Stony Brook looking for a little more control in the mid position. They also got rid of the Invoker. So I don't know what that tells us about their mid. If they don't have confidence in who their mid can go against, or if they're planning a very specific mid strategy that depends on not seeing those heroes go up against them. What does it say to the opposing team, Gorgon, when you ban 3 strong mid heroes that are very popular right now?
Yeah, not just 3 strong mid heroes, but also 3 of those 4 heroes, not the Queen of Pain necessarily, but the other 3 are really strong pushers. It tells us that Penn State wants the pace of the game more than anything else, right? So if they give up a bunch of hard pushers, then really what's going to happen is they're going to be playing reactive Dota until they start to get a hold of a lead. They've got an Undying, which means that they're going to want to set the tone with the Tombstone, and presumably they don't want to be forced to defend towers too much too early. Instead, they'd like to go into their opponent's jungle and make something happen. It might even be a sign that an aggressive tri-lane is on the way.
That's very interesting, and I wouldn't mind seeing some aggressive tri-lane play. I feel like you don't see a lot of it at the pro level, but part of that is it's so important that it's effective, right? If the aggressive tri-lane doesn't turn out at least a couple of kills or a complete shutdown of the laner, then it really sort of sets everything back. And at the pro level, it's very easy to counter that, to make them non-effective. But here at the collegiate level, and there's nothing, now I want to go on the record and say college Dota, still a ton of fun to watch, but these guys are not necessarily teams of 8K players, right? These are guys who study full-time. Some of them probably have jobs as well, girlfriends, responsibilities, and they want to play Dota at a competitive collegiate level. So these guys are great players, but they're not executing at the level that you would expect from, say, watching professional Dota.
Right, it's a different metagame because there's a different level of execution. That doesn't mean that they don't have a strong grasp of the strategy. It doesn't mean that they don't have a strong grasp of the game. But they aren't able to practice as a team as often as a professional team would, and that's a big part of it. We often see games come down to proper communication.
Well, and that's what we talk about nowadays, even with the pro scene to a certain extent. When we talk about who's going to take it all, we used to talk about teams with the best mechanical skill or sort of the best grasp of the game, but that's changed significantly, and we now sort of talk a lot more about who has the most teamwork, who has the best synergy, and who has the best grasp of sort of micro execution.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd ever say that Pro Dota came down to which team understood the game better more than which team communicated. I mean, even if we go as far back as TI3, right? Alliance won even though they ran the same basic strategy through the entire tournament, and several players going into that tournament said, we know exactly what Alliance is going to do to us, and we just don't know how to handle it because they're so good at communicating, at being exactly timed right through these pushes and through the splits. A lot of any team game really comes down to how well you mesh with your teammates, and then obviously, if you mesh really well with your teammates and you have no understanding of the game that you're playing, you'll still probably lose. But assuming that your basic understandings are comparable to each other, knowing your strengths and weaknesses as a team and also being able to execute those, much more important than, say, having another little edge on understanding a specific mechanic.
Absolutely, which points out another piece of minutia, I think, inside of the CSL, and that is the fact that a lot of these teams are just coming back last week and the week before from their sort of winter breaks within their colleges. And we've seen some big shifts in the standings, haven't we, Gorgon? Because it seems like some of these teams said, hey, we're playing great as a team, but our esports, our collegiate esports club is on break. I'm going to go about doing my own thing, play some pubs with friends, etc. And some other teams said, hey, we had a tough early season. We're going to take this entire break and we're going to focus on building teamwork within this team. And we've seen some drastic changes from teams coming back over the break, which is why I'm excited about Penn State and Stony Brook, because we haven't watched them yet. Both teams had pretty okay early seasons, and I'd like to see what they're looking like, how they use that break, and if their team synergy has really picked up or not.
Yeah, I would also add to that the metagame shifted tremendously from the November to now because the patch hit, obviously. So for a lot of these teams that may have been struggling through, that may just have come down to the heroes that they feel particularly in tune with. Were not strong or were not fitting into the strategies that were popular at the time. So I would be interested to see some of these players that had trouble through November and October to see if maybe the shifting metagame has given them a leg up.
Very, very true. We will see. Is the next alliance, is the tier 2 alliance in this group, I guess we could say. Somebody who seems to really have adjusted the patch. Will it be the Ninny Lions? Will it be Stony Brook University? I don't know who their mascot is, so I'm not going to try. It's probably the Rivers.
They don't have a logo, so I'm going to say the Invisible Apparitions is I'm guessing.
The Invisible Apparitions. Okay, I was going to say Underwater Lake, maybe? Or Underground Lake? That would be dark.
That would be dark.
Templar Assassin picked up for the mid position, also with an OD. So is that TA going to play in a safe lane and put OD in the mid, or is OD becoming more of a farm-based one hero?
I think your OD is your farm-based one hero.
Okay,
here.
and he'll go well with Witch Doctor Undying because OD comes in, can initiate Witch Doctor Undying with the follow-up. It can be a very dangerous lane for whoever's going up against that OD. Should be pretty interesting to watch. Silencer going to be the last pick here. And now we're going to get our perfunctory start of CSL pause. And what do you think about the Silencer pickup?
I am not entirely sure about it, to be honest. You do have the damage over time, which helps against the Templar Assassin. Presumably it will be a mid-Silencer. I really like Silencer as a hero in general. You will always have the ability to cancel out the Death Ward. You'll always have the ability to shut that Outworld Devourer down, and the Silencer as a hero just scales really well with intelligence for very obvious reasons. He steals intelligence in addition to having, like a 2.5 int gain per level. So it's going to be difficult for Outworld Devourer to use Sanity's Eclipse against that particular core. All of that said, Undying does really well against Silencer. Clockwork typically does pretty well against Silencer. In the mid-game, TA does pretty well against Silencer as well, although the laning phase may be a bit rough for that TA. I think it really does come down to how quickly can they get off the ground as a squad, and how much does this Earth Spirit, Vengeful Spirit combo really help out with the mid-game, well, carrying the team through that portion of the game, basically.
Sounds like a good assessment to me. Let's do some quick introductions for these two teams. On the Dire side, for Stony Brook University, or the Underground Rivers as we like to call them, Live Evil is going to be trying to manage his name as a Spirit Breaker. We're going to have Devay as the Silencer. We're going to have the Vengeful Spirit played by Heartless. We're going to have the Only Hope on the Gyrocopter. Let's hope it doesn't end up being true. And Ryoki playing the Earth Spirit.
All right, and here for PSU, we've got Outworld Devourer being played by QQQ. Woo Woo is refracting it up on the Templar Assassin. Clockwork is the Rattle Trap. He is being played by D, and then two of some word or letter that I don't know. Amuru is the Undying, and then there is no name for the Witch Doctor. Boy, they really made that one difficult for me.
They did.
You went for SBU.
They cut you deep. Well, the Witch Doctor's just your average friendly player as he heads down to look for that bottom rune. Top is going to be the Rattle Trap, but he's going to see a whole helping of enemies as he tries to go for that and decides it's not worth it, backs out the back door, and will return to his lane. Only Hope comes in and makes sure that everyone is secure as they get those runes picked up. So it'll go 1 for 1, side for side. Up on the bottom lane, Ryoki going to go ahead and pull one of the creeps into the trees to prevent, I guess, a cute little creep. I don't even know you could do that. Interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't really gain him that much other than his equilibrium will be slightly better, but a good block would have done more than what that creep pull does.
It looks like he's planning on doing it more than once, though.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, we'll keep an eye.
Keep an eye on that.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it.
It's really getting him anything, to be honest.
It's cheeky.
Up top, we're going to have Undying and Clockwork dual laning for a little while.
Curious.
I'm not sure how I like this move either.
So is the idea that you're going to try to get one of them inside of Cogs and then follow that up with a Tombstone on the internal? I mean, I'm not sure how that combo works other than trying some cheeky move like that.
I think they're trying to stack as much decay as possible to make the relative HP pools of these heroes very low, and then trap them in Cogs and just kill them with 2 or 3 auto attacks.
Okay.
That is presumably the goal. It's just a war of attrition thing, and really utilizing that decay as much as possible. But I'm not sure up against a tri-lane they're actually going to be able to secure that.
All right, this just in. Newsflash. SBU, Stony Brook University, is actually a mascot, the Sea Wolves. So we'll try to remember that.
An Underground Lake Wolf? Actually?
Underground Lake Wolf is what they should have gone with, but apparently Sea Wolf is where they are, and it's a shame that there's no Lone Druid because we're not going to see a wolf in this match.
I think you should have gone with Lycan there.
Oh,
Lycan.
dope.
The obvious wolf hero.
The obvious wolf hero. Gold lead 500 XP, about the same. Nobody in a firm lead just yet. Last hit deny chart is up for you to look at. 8-2 for the gyrocopter. And then over in the mid position where we do see a pretty interesting matchup between Devay and Woo Woo. Woo Woo getting the head start, but really not by too much. Actually, Silencer is dead even with him. I misread that.
I'm being told in the chat that I am still much more quiet than you. I've got my mic maxed out on
So
my
what
end,
I did is I
I'll
maxed you up on Skype and I took my mic down a few notches. So hopefully that will correct it if people can turn the music up, or the sound up. If he's still too low by balance, let us know when you hear this right now.
All right.
And we'll see what we can do. Meanwhile, mid, big charge by Live Evil. He wants to go on Woo Woo. Woo Woo's got refraction down. No chance to survive. Evil taking a lot of damage from that tower though. Deny off doesn't do it. 14 health, so just barely survives. Meanwhile, up on top, Heartless starts to mix it up with D. D's got to back away. Amaru not having the effect they were hoping for he on the top lane. So great job by that Spirit Breaker, rotating around, finding the spot, and then using that high ground vision from the ward here to see when refraction was used, and once it went down, making his plan of attack. So well executed by SBU. The Seawolves getting off to a quick start.
He charged right as that refraction came up, but because the Arcane Curse just ticks away damage over time, it doesn't last very long. He used an Invis rune and came up behind the tower. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not. Now, Ryoki in a bit of trouble. Good body block by the friendly player who's not being so friendly to the Earth Spirit. Nice save! Double stun from Live Evil, who made it happen and saved the life of the Earth Spirit, who's going to have to head back to base. He has 2 creeps hidden in the trees. Maybe he'll go ahead and stack it again on his way back down, and it's just a weird thing that this is happening right here.
It is a weird thing that this is happening for sure. Spirit Breaker.
Uh-oh, I'm going to interrupt you as we go to top where D got stunned. Tombstone comes down, but is it going to save the Rattle Trap? I think not. Down he goes, and now they turn back. We got zombies spawning, but not nearly fast enough, as only Hope and Heartless can actually turn around and get the 150 gold for themselves out of killing the Tombstone and the stun on Amaru, who's got to try to back away. He's low on health. He's almost out of regen. He's got 3 tangos, but that's about it. That did not go well for them. Not only did they not stop the gank, but they gave up 150 free gold in the form of that Tombstone and put it on cooldown.
Yeah, this is about what I was expecting out of this lane. This was my trepidation. In the bottom lane, they're going to try to make up a bit of space and ground. I'm not sure they can really dive into this OD Witch Doctor either, though. So the Spirit Breaker trying to make something happen. He's been doing a good job of being rotating around, trying to make opportunities happen. But at the end of the day, he's got to basically find an opening where he is not forced into the tower. He's going to go into the tower here. Not sure how I feel about this.
Here comes the charge. They want to keep the move going. Live Evil's now going to make it, charges in, stops the charge, backs away. I'm looking at Devay. I haven't spent a lot of time with the new Silencer. I think it seems to me, and they've discovered this, but never really occurred to me, that he's a really great mid counter for the TA due to the nature of the Arcane Curse change.
He's always been a good counter.
But it's even better now, because if you get her before she refracts and she chooses to refract, then your extension is even pushed back out. So
yeah, just a little bit, but it's usually when you cast that, if somebody does cast her, for example, it will be right after you cast the Arcane Curse, so you don't get that much out of it. But Arcane Curse itself is kind of a wacky move, and Witch Doctor going to grab a kill down here as the retreat was there, but it wasn't fast enough. Not
fast enough, so he does get sent back to base, but it's okay. He's got 2 creeps hiding in the trees if he should need them.
Well, what I was going to say about the Arcane Curse is that whenever a hero is silenced in it, it continues, and a lot of players don't realize that because it's in the subtext of the move.
Here comes the charge. I'm going to interrupt you as Woo Woo gets hit under the tower. Heartless wants to come in, follows with the stun. Refraction going to dodge it. Not going to matter, though. Down he goes. The damage was dodged, but now comes the cast. TP's coming in, trying to make something happen. DC's Heartless throws down the cogs, but not going to get him. They still do manage to get the Spirit Breaker. Heartless on the run, D on the chase. Does not have a level 6, so there's not going to be a hook shot, and Heartless should have the range to get himself out. He turns back, uses the stun to buy some distance, and will be able to run to safety. So it's in the subtext you were explaining. Let's go back to that Silencer talk you were just giving us.
Yeah. So Arcane Curse, the way that works is it ticks down, right? If they cast anything, then it adds a bit back to the duration. It adds 4 seconds back on. And then in addition, if they're silenced, that it doesn't tick down, but it continues to do damage. So for example, if you silence them for 4 seconds, you'll get a total of 11 seconds out of 1 Arcane Curse. A lot of people don't realize that while a hero is silenced, it continues without losing any of the cooldown time.
Interesting.
You can get quite a few stacks up on a hero that is very spam heavy, like a TA or a Zeus, especially once you have that global silence and the last word on top of it.
Makes sense. All right, big charge on the bottom. In comes the remnant from the Earth Spirit. He's got to back away. OD saves himself, going inside of his little ball of rescue. Now they're going to chase the Earth Spirit into the jungle. They're backing in from both sides. He's all by himself, trying to figure out what to do here. He's about to have his boulder smash up. If he can try to execute and escape with this, everything available. Here comes the charge. Evil goes right through, but they switch places. Now Evil's left behind as his buddy takes off running. There comes the rock again. Friendly player wants to make the chase happen. Yep, that'll be the end of it. So live Evil comes in to save Ryoki, and Ryoki leaves the second he rolls in. Tough decision, but a sacrifice that I guess had to be made.
They're going to try to make a trade top, it looks like. The Amuro getting very aggressive here as the Clockwork has TP'd up, but they've been spotted out, and there is no hook shot on the Clockwork, so they're just going to give it up. So OD grabbing a 7-minute and 42-second Midas, a bit late, but still all right.
Let's see. Woo Woo 10 behind his opponent. Devi in the middle. We're going to go to the net worth so you can take a look at it. Dire 1-2. OD not far off, but then you get a pretty big fall before the TA catches up at 1,000 negative to the silencer. Meanwhile, Amuro goes in to get the rune. Not going to get it. Devi not only gets it, but he puts a regen into his bottle. He'll be very happy about that as he continues to dominate this mid lane against what you would expect to have been a little bit stronger Woo Woo, as Templar Assassin relatively popular right now if played correctly.
Yeah, no, Silencer, like I said in the draft, Silencer is a good counter out during the lane for this hero. I would expect Silencer to come out ahead here, but during the mid game, that's when the TA is going to catch up, right? Does not have stacks actually to knock down, which is kind of a bummer for her, but she should be able to get up a bit of negative armor and then just blow up the Silencer. The refraction charges being counted down by Arcane Curse is not nearly as big of a deal if you're surviving long enough to blow up the silencer and get that trade.
Makes sense. All right, so let's keep looking at this. 2,000 gold to the advantage of the Dire. XP is at 750 right now as OD continues to try to get his will exerted on this mid lane. He is the leader of the Radiant farm at the moment. His CS pretty high at 41 and 11. He's been doing good against this Earth Spirit. But the problem that they're running into is this mid position. And it looks like Silencer will continue to harass the TA. Anytime that he can't right-click her, he's taking a chip out of the tower. Woo-Woo's got tons of traps leveled around, trying to slow down any of these advances that Devi has been making. Meanwhile, we got Live Evil going to do his patented circle around move as he heads back towards the middle lane. Puts up a nice early ward and goes straight for the charge. Here he goes. Woo-Woo in some trouble. The roll in from Ryoki. Not a lot that can save Woo-Woo, but the TPs maybe. 2 coming in. Not going to be enough. 1 is canceled. No, actually both land, and they still can't save him. Amaru puts down the gravestone, but it's a bit too far back, perhaps. Devi in some trouble, gets caught with the stun. Lucky bounce for him. Now he's on the run. Ryoki with a big double, and here comes the charge from Live Evil. It's going to hurt. Friendly player in some big trouble. He goes down. Ryoki on the run. Amaru tries to take away what he can, but the stun from the backside saves his life. He'll get out. 4 survive. 2 go down on the side of the Radiant, and PSU seems like they need to do something to shore up the bleeding in this mid lane right now. And this might be it as they make a jump on Devi. Devi in some trouble. They get the kill on the silencer. We ask for it. They deliver. The curse of the caster works against SBU.
Yeah, this is, once again, it's a case of the early game should be going to SBU, but maybe not this substantially. And PSU, they need to breathe calmly, right? And make sure that they have their heads clear for moving into the stage of the game where they should be stronger. They want to make sure that they get the Death Ward, which Doctor's almost level 6. Templar Assassin now does have Meld Strike as well, in addition to 2 levels of Psyblades. I'm not sure why she maxed Refraction against a team that can basically just rip it off of her. They've got Rocket Barrage to remove Refraction. They've got Magnetize, which is great for that. And of course the Arcane Curse, which we've talked about ad nauseum. Maxing Refraction seems like wasted levels to me. I would have preferred to have seen her go for the negative armor coming from that meld, so that not only can she flash farm better through this stage of the game right now, but also she's more capable of grabbing those pickoffs on the squishier of heroes from SBU.
Now we just saw a charge by Spirit Breaker to the mid where he made contact with an Undying with no support around. He looked incredibly overconfident, but when you take into context the amount of vision they have there, it makes sense. Now he's going to make a move on the OD. In comes the stun, triple, double, the call down. everything they've got. OD has no chance to survive. He never came out of the stun, couldn't even imprison himself, and that is the power of this draft. We just saw them bring to bear what they essentially have had planned all along. The Vengeful Spirit Aura is going to make things even harder as this game goes on. She has no points in it yet, but once she starts leveling that up, the right-click damage from this team is going to be absolutely absurd, and if those layered stuns, even heroes like OD don't stand much of a chance. Like, so what do you do as PSU? You've now seen them execute the stun lineup. How do you prepare for the later game against them?
He probably could have not been quite so far forward. It's just same as Woo Woo here in mid. He's getting in a bit of trouble. He's got some smoked teammates coming in at least, but he was out a bit far. They find themselves in dangerous positions without a lot of forward vision, and I think that seems to be a big part of the problem.
Live Evil tries to come in, cannot do it, gets mini stunned by the Clockwork, and pushed backwards. So I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the interaction, it was not the Cogs that stopped the charge, it was the mini stun from the Clockwork instead?
I actually was not watching.
All right, QQQ is dropping low. Everybody goes in. Astral Imprisonment actually buys some time for Live Evil, who backs away. Only Hope putting out a ton of damage. That's one. That's two. Will they make it three? Yes, they do. Quad kill here on the bottom lane. TA, the last one standing, because she's in a different lane altogether. They brought in the Cavalry, and it did not work out. Astral Imprisonment actually backfired there. It cost them big time as they were able to keep Live Evil out and bring in everyone else.
Woo Woo has had a terrible laning phase. He's not able to contribute to these fights right now. He has no stacks to catch up either. This is starting to look pretty dangerous for PSU. Tower Gold starting to go the way of SBU, and that's going to be the start of an avalanche.
Yeah, start of an avalanche, a 4,000 gold avalanche, or 2,000 in the avalanche, 4 on the mountain, as SBU takes a huge jump ahead off of that fight. XP is sitting at about 3 in their favor. Meanwhile, Live Evil goes for the deep push, gets the kill. Amaru doesn't have a stun. He'll just TP to safety. Next level plays, out they come. They want to chase Divide, but the Clockwork hookshot does not pan out. Astral Imprisonment to buy a little bit of space. Can they get the counter on the Silencer? It looks like he might be in some trouble. He tries to go in the opposite direction. Here comes the Earth Spirit to help, but he misses the double stun. Gets one. QQQ is going to be QQQing back at base as he gets picked off. Now Clockwork sees a chance to make a move, wants to be the chase, but here comes the Spirit Breaker. He's got the double charge coming in. He wants to catch one. He may catch two. Cancels out as they back away. Makes the right choice, but still, it was a double kill across the map, and they trade the Silencer for the OD. Man, this is tough.
Yep, tough is a good way to describe it. We're now looking at over 5,000 gold deficit for PSU. They don't really have any push potential. This is exactly what they didn't want. Remember how many of those pushing heroes they banned out?
Yeah.
They got rid of the Lone Druid. They got rid of the Death Prophet. They got rid of a handful of others as well, I believe, that were very push-oriented. And the specific reason that they did that, presumably, we can ascertain from that strategy, is that they wanted to have control of the early game long enough to get off to a start. And they have not managed to achieve that goal.
Man, oh man. I'll tell you what, these two wards that Spirit Breaker put up early have really paid off for him. There was one here, and then there was one up here that never got dewarded. And that early game aggression that he was afforded by walking rotations, I think, is one of the things that got them so far out ahead, that he just became a real issue for PSU to deal with. So if you're watching the replay, Spirit Breaker, kudos on that early ward decision. It was very, very strong.
You know, and it's not just the ward, but it's the fact that he capitalized on it once it was.
That's true. That's true. Wards mean nothing if you don't execute on them.
We're gonna see.
Oh, Amaru gets hit with the stun. Out comes the call down. Hook shot from behind, but he's stunned before he can do anything with it. Super stun, chain stun, dead stun as he's head back to base. They get the move on Amaru. Tombstone goes down. That's a free 150 gold and a tower and 3 kills. PSU tries to execute, but all they do is get executed in return. Ryoki doesn't know where to go, running in circles. Like, guys, towers are hitting me everywhere, but it's an easy peasy push as this tower drops to the wrath that is the Lions.
The item coordination from SVU is just stellar as well.
Yeah.
You can look down the list. Yasha and Helm of the Dominator for Only Hope on the Gyrocopter. A Force Staff is going to be coming out here for Ryoki on top of a Magic Wand. Even the Silencer had such a good early game, just went into a Force Staff as well. All of the team just going in for mid-game items so that they can be as effective as possible, maneuvering around in these fights and making sure that they're able to move in as 4 or 5 and secure these kills. And we're now looking at 20 stolen intelligence for the Silencer at 16
At
minutes.
16 minutes, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about that hand of Midas up on the OD. The OD picked up a Midas after he started to lose his lane pretty aggressively, or started to get picked off on the bottom. Did he have a good enough start that you think that that was an okay? Okay, I'm going to stop for a second as Teve gets out. Nice force staff. Ryoki comes around, wants to make his move. D dropping low. OD goes out for the stop, but it's not going to save the clockwork. Everyone's still here. Big call down. Forces them backwards and splits them up. That's exactly what he wanted to do with that call down. It works. OD pulls his ultimate. Lots of damage going out, but it won't be enough. Amaru drops down. They do manage to finish Live Evil. Ryoki realizes he's gone too deep. Gets swapped by the Venge, but it's not going to save him as Woo Woo makes it happen with the side blades. Teve goes for the chase, finishes off QQQ. Now the wrap around as they go for the last man standing. Woo Woo on the run. He does not. They don't have vision on him, but he knows they're carrying vision, so he's not in the mood to stop as the chase continues. Good job there, slowing him down as he goes around the back way. Interesting to keep the chase going instead of pushing the mid tower, but that is what it looks like the guys from SBU want to do. Rocket is on track. Will go for the follow. It's going to hit him eventually, but eventually is a very long time. Woo Woo now hit, goes invisible. Do they have the vision to find him?
They
Nope.
can just wait, though. They know he doesn't have a blink dagger.
That's true, but it looks like they're not willing to take that risk as the TPs start to come out towards the bottom lane. So a long push counters their ability to sort of get anything traded out of their win in the mid lane, though rest assured, they definitely won that mid lane fight.
Full Sanj and Yasha now completed on the gyrocopter. Even if it was an even trade, that's really not what you want if you're PSU.
Right. All right, here they're going to go. Evil comes in, wants to make his play. Call down's going to come up, forces everybody backwards. Evil will live, but he gets the pop on Woo Woo. Woo Woo's lost the refraction. In comes the boulder. Going to rock him down. DD now on the run, taking a ton of damage as well as he gets nuked. And every time that PSU tries to mount a turnaround, all they get is turned around, if you catch my drift.
30 stolen intelligence now for the Silencer at 18 minutes.
Yeah.
Your OD is entirely dependent on being able to not only maintain a higher intelligence level than your opponents, but utilize that for damage output, right?
Right.
And forcing fights the way PSU has been trying to do here, with the good odds that you're going to be trading at best, is just not the right strategy. Even if you trade 2 of your guys for 4 of their guys at this stage in the game, if Silencer is up for those 2, it's still a great trade for SBU.
Rocket comes in. It's not going to get anybody. All it's going to do is hit as the Aegis is picked up already by the Spirit Breaker, who has been a playmaker in this match. Gyrocopter with that Sanjiasha going rapidly through his mid doldrum, as I like to call it. He very strong early and doesn't even need any downtime as he's going to go ahead and farm up this Ancient stack and continue to do a really good job. Stony Brook University, for a school I've never heard of, seems to have one hell of a Dota club.
Yeah, they seem to practice a lot in that underground torture chamber, or whatever it was that we said was their mascot.
I mean, let's real talk for a moment though, Gorgon. It's, you know, you're an analyst. You spend a lot of time watching pro players. I'm not saying these guys are pro level, but their team synergy, it seems incredibly strong. Their understanding of how this game was going to go in execution is impressive, to say the least.
Here's one thing that I will say: they are outperforming PSU to the degree that it makes them look pro here. Now, if you were to put them up against an actual pro team, I'm sure the opposite would happen.
Interesting.
Right?
Fair.
But the fact that they are in a league of teams, and the opponent that they're playing against, PSU, has a really good play record. So if SBU are really devastating opponents to this degree that have the play record that PSU has, odds are really good we're going to be seeing them on stage at DreamHack.
Definitely. Excited to see it. Maybe we'll get some demo out of them if they do win the whole thing. Put them up against a pro team to see what happens. There's a big charge on Evil as he makes a move on D. D jumps out, gets knocked out of the cogs. Fortunately for him, but the push will continue in the mid as they back away. Woo Woo taking some dangerous farm. Has to be careful here. If she steps out of line, she will be seen by a rotation if they choose to make it. And Live Evil looks like they just want to stand on by and let Only Hope push down the mid tower.
Yeah, see right here, this is a case where PSU are about to make the wrong decision. They're about to try and engage and save this tower, where in reality what they probably should do is make sure everybody has TPs and spend 3 or 4 people just down one other lane to try and trade a tier 1 or get a bit of farm or something. Even just go out and get vision up. They can't defend this tower, and right now all they're doing is just waiting.
Yep. And it's great. So when we saw that glyph used, it gave some really good information to SBU, right? The glyph was burned, and it told them, look, we're planning on engaging. or you gave us a really comfortable potential push into the racks. And what you saw was the second that the glyph went out, SBU fell back and picked up positions that were really more beneficial to a fight under the tower, and immediately PSU had no choice but to forego the engagement and just try to get the deny, which they actually did. So TA pulls out a sneaky deny, which is nice, but at this point the gold lead's at 12,000. So good deny. How much does it really help?
Deny is a drop in the bucket.
A drop in the bucket, exactly.
You want to compliment the players for being able to get in and do that, but honestly, going in for that deny was probably riskier than it was worth.
Absolutely.
You lose the TA, who, by the way, does have a Desolator up, to her credit, but she has no mobility. They don't have any initiation except the Clockwork, and Clockwork is so far behind that he gets ripped to shreds. It's like throwing origami in a lake. It does not work.
Does not work. Just because it looks like a boat doesn't mean it will sail. Now we see the push forward by Only Hope. The rest of the team wants to try to make a move, and immediately so they're going to fall back. The pings immediately come out from PSU towards this tower and say, let's defend it, knowing that Stony Brook has been very systematic in their assault. These guys seem very objective-driven to me. They're constantly looking to push lanes. They're constantly looking to get towers. With the exception of one rotation chasing the TA, they always seem to be converting towers out of kills. And immediately they rotate towards the bottom to continue their objective-based gaming.
Yeah, they didn't do that in the opening of the game, but to open the game, that wasn't the right call. To open the game, what they wanted to do was secure a strong foothold by getting as many kills as possible. So they didn't really leverage that many towers for the first 7 or 8 minutes. As soon as they were able to, though, they started converting, as you mentioned, getting those points, getting that objective-based gaming. Silencer is still only sitting on 30 stolen intelligence, so he hasn't gotten any for almost 5-6 minutes. But it's because PSU can't engage. Right? Ideally, he would be able to go out and get intelligence while they're, but he still has more than 2 a minute, or he's still close to 2 a minute, I guess I should say.
Well, it's at the point where he did a great job of sort of managing the mid game for SBU. We've hit 23. Only Hope is beautifully set up now, as BKB is essentially done. It just needs to come out to him. So he can sort of not worry as much. He can lay off, make sure his ultimates are well played, and just keep Only Hope in a comfortable position in this match. Live Evil also looking pretty good. His BKB about to be done, as well as the Aegis in hand. And they'll just chip away at the high ground. And right now, PSU's watching, looking on, saying, I don't know how we stop this chip. We have to initiate, but Clockwork's just not strong enough.
They waited out the Aegis, at least. So that's good move.
Here comes the initiation. They make a move right after the Aegis drops. D takes a lot of damage. It was silenced before he could cog. Turns back around. Might be in some trouble. Ryoki now with the charge. Live Evil gets the connection. We see pops and rocks coming out from just about everybody. Amaru heals himself, but will it be enough? He swapped back behind the enemy lines, and that's an easy quad. Now the chase to make it a 5. Not going to matter. PSU puts out the GGWP before they lose any racks, knowing that this game is done. Gold lead at 20,000, XP at 13 as well. You hate to see an early GG generally, but in this situation, it just seemed like PSU made the right call to say, all right, you know what, you got us. Let's clear our heads, not get overly stressed about it, and make the move to game 2.
Yeah, you know what? They did wait till they lost to Rax, which was big, right? It was the right move once again. You never know. A lot of teams that are really good through that early game are just terrible at taking high ground, or terrible at converting that into later game. Like Elite Wolves are an example of this in the North and South American scene, right? They just can't do it. But turns out SBU, not that team, and PSU are just going to have to come in with a stronger early game next time.
So, next time is coming up shortly, guys. My name's Toffees. You can follow me at Toffees TV. I'm joined by Gorgon the Wonder Cow, my color man. You can find him at the Wonder Cow on Twitter. And, of course, you can follow us at C Star League over on there as well to find out all the updates on all college esports. Not just Dota. We cover League, StarCraft, Hearthstone, you name it. We got it, baby. 5 games in all. So make sure you follow at C Star League to get your updates on what's going on in the world of college esports. Don't go anywhere, because we will be back with more Dota, at least 1 game, maybe 2 if PSU shows us just why they are still a top seed in this tournament. Don't go anywhere, listen to music, and as always, Toffees out. And welcome back to the CSL, the Collegiate Star League. Guys, this is game 2 of our Week 10 matchup between Penn State and Stony Brook University out of New York. So it should be a pretty good one. East Coast throwdown, if you will. Stony Brook forgets to put their name up on the regular, but I assure you that is them on the bottom. They took the first game in a overwhelmingly convincing fashion, so much so that we see a respect ban of the Earth Spirit and a respect deny pick of the Spirit Breaker coming out from Penn State. So it should be a pretty interesting game. A big shout out to Twitch, our sponsors for the event, our Twitch, obviously, for featuring us weekly and giving us one of the best streaming platforms in the world, and Asus, Republic of Gamers, who not only makes great products like PCs, laptops, and monitors, they are also funding all of the travel for the top 4 teams to go to DreamHack Austin for the grand final, as well as putting up the $15,000 scholarship pool for Dota specifically. Follow them at Asus_ROG. I'm joined here by Gorgon the Wonder Cow, my master analyst, a writer for every website on Dota. If you've read something that teaches you about Dota, it's probably written by Gorgon. Gorgon, what did you think of the first game, and what does Penn State have to do to prove to us that they were no flash in the plan in the early season?
Well, the first game was really Penn State's battle of Midway. Things started to go all right-ish in the draft, but it was downhill from there. I don't really know that we saw anything in that game that leads me to believe that that was at all representative of their peak. There's no way that that game, that level of gameplay, that level of communication and coordination and decision making led them to having only one loss through the first chunk of the season. Yeah. So they are Dire side now, which is a advantage. They are also first pick now. Dire side first pick in professional Dota gives you about a 56% win rate, something like that.
So has it dropped down? Is it still?
It's dropped down a little bit, but
okay,
not that much. It's only dropped down by the nature of statistics. The more games you have, the closer it should run to about even.
Okay.
At this stage of the patch, having that much, that comes out to like a 12 or 13 point advantage, right?
Gotcha.
If you heard that there was a presidential election that was won by 12 to 13 points, that would be considered a blowout.
Don't mention politics.
Similarly, the Dire and Radiant advantage, having a first pick Dire 12 to 13 point advantage is wildly significant.
I want to talk about politics so bad. All right, so Vengeful Spirit was picked up here by the Stony Brook University team. Last time around, they ran her to incredible effect. Really executed well on that hero. The swaps. It's rare that I watch a game that's not a pro level game where I don't see some swaps that make you go, that was a tough one. That was a little bit questionable. Everything that happened last time was executed very well. They did not get the Spirit Breaker, but they picked up a Tusk, who I argue has a lot of similarities to Spirit Breaker. Yes, he lacks the global presence, but as far as initiating, which is a lot of what Spirit Breaker did for the team, he really brings that in spades. So I look forward to seeing how they play him. I think that if you watched how the Earth Spirit was played last time as well, Tusk has a lot of those functionalities too. So this Tusk Vengeful Spirit combo already scares me coming out of SBU, because especially with that Venge aura, as Tusk gets his Shadow Blade up, which I'm going to predict is a Shadow Blade Tusk who's looking for straight up kills, it's going to become very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, one thing that we can say about Penn State is that they saw what worked and they are going to try to use it, right?
That's true.
Have a very similar draft, maybe even identical draft
so far
to what their opponents had last game. So maybe they just said, hey, that what you guys did is not really that hard. We're just going to do it back to you.
I mean, what else could you do to really try to demoralize a team or to burn them and say, hey guys, listen, we're going to take game 2. We're going to do it with your strategy to show you that any idiot can win with that. And then game 3 is ours. I mean, honestly, like if that's what they do, that's what you have to take as a message from SBU, and it puts a lot of stress on you because you have to beat them. You have to say, all right, we have to show them that we're better than them, and it wasn't just the lineup. And I'm curious to see if that's where it goes. The Undying is banned out by so SBSU had the Undying last time, right? No, they didn't. I'm sorry. It was on Penn State side, so they banned it out. So it looks like they did not want to deal with the Undying. It's a very strong combo. Obviously, if you put down a Tombstone, it allows Call Down to pretty much guarantee double hits, potentially, if you line it up correctly. There's a lot of damage that it can do. Already, Spirit Breaker is going to cause some trouble with keeping heroes inside of the Call Down. It's a good ban. What does it say about what SBSU is trying to avoid?
I think they're just trying to take their opponents out of their comfort zone.
Fair.
Right? For Penn State, they did just run in Undying.
Mhm.
We already saw that it's a hero that they maybe unnecessarily rely on
Mhm.
as a comfort zone sort of pick. The Undying really didn't do very much last game,
Right.
right? And it didn't necessarily fit the draft that well, which tells me that that particular player or the captain just really likes the hero.
Fair.
And I'm willing to bet that if we were to look at some stats on these players, we would see somebody with a pretty decent Undying record.
That makes
And
sense.
I assume that that is a mix of instinct and research.
Fair enough. SBSU with the ban on the Wind Ranger. Ember Spirit also banned out by Penn State. Two heroes that were banned out last time around. Not banned as quickly as they were last time, but both chosen to remove from the pool. As we look for the rest of our pickups here, we're going to be looking for a core. I would assume with this pick, it'll be the OD coming out of SB. And that was
Penn State's.
That was Penn State's last time, right?
Hey, you know what? You guys aren't so special either.
Is this
anybody can lose with what the strategy you
Is
had.
this League of Legends, or are we just seeing the same 10 heroes picked over and over again?
Wow, the league burns at every opportunity you get.
I've only done one on stream, I think. I did a couple in chat earlier with the CSL staff, which is what you're thinking of, but I've been fairly friendly this evening. All right. If you guys are League players and you're watching, we do appreciate the fact that you play a MOBA. Outworld
I
Devourer.
appreciate the fact that you're spending your time with the better MOBA right now. It's
Oh,
well time spent.
I like the turnaround. Oh, and then you put it on me. You get a good insult and you say it's my fault. That's just cruel. OD is going to get picked up. You think that's going to be a mid OD, or do you think they'll run him in lane like we've been seeing him done, where we've seen him put more often of late?
I am not confident enough to say one way or the other yet. We don't know what the mid opponent would be yet.
Fair.
So,
And they probably feel the same way. It's a hero that has flexibility. It forces the onus of selection onto Penn State in terms of the mid positioning. I assume that we'll see the second support picked up here, unless Tusk is going to be played as a support role for SBSU. So this will be an information-giving pick, but they can keep it from being a mid guarantee depending on what they pick up here. That looks like to be what they're talking about. They've got 1:19 on the clock, plenty of time to come up with a good strategic pick, and they're going to grab that last support. So this does tell us...
an off-lane Omni Knight.
Could
or
be.
It's a farming bench. One of those two things is true, I think.
So you think Tusk is a support no matter how you cut it?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Tusk is a roaming support just because of the way that SBU likes to play. It makes the most sense to have that Tusk out making action the same way that the Spirit Breaker did last time. Because like you mentioned, they are very similar heroes in the way they play through the early game. I think OD is stronger in the mid lane than he is out of the farming carry role. I think you get more out of the hero and more out of the independent lanes.
Agreed.
That way. So I'd like to see OD in the mid, which would imply Omni Knight off lane and maybe something like a Medusa to come out to get a bit of push, because they don't really have that right now.
Yeah, they definitely lack push. Would like to see some of that. Tusk, it does sound right, like that they would use him in sort of a soft 4 position, which would be interesting. TA grabbed by Penn State. We saw TA picked up last time. It did not go well for her. It looks like Penn State really feels confident about their TA player. She had a good match. Like, we saw her still get a disruptor up, even though everything was working against her in that game. To finish the match 27-7 and still come out with some decent farm speaks to her ability to get out there and find the gold when it's needed. The problem is, now we have a ban and we have a pick, and SBSU countered her so well last time.
One thing that I will say is that she did find the gold, but she found it by mining while the rest of her team was caught in a landslide.
That's true.
You know, it's the guy who was off in the vein while the main shaft was collapsing. Yeah, he came out with a little bit of money. As an overall endeavor, it wasn't maybe the best of all.
So Penn State living up to the capitalistic standards of their founding, as Templar Assassin abandons his team to get the farm. Did it work out? It didn't. Could it have? We saw some great plays. Because of that Desolator that she got, she was able to get a couple of Psyblade kills that I don't think she would have gotten otherwise, but it did not pan out. So we'll see how it goes this time around with the Gyrocopter and the Global Spirit Breaker, as well as the control afforded by the Bane. I think she's in a better position than she was earlier. Yeah. We'll see what happens. That Omni Knight scares me.
Here, I think they pick up the silencer again if it's not
banned. Absolutely. This ban has to be a silencer.
It has to be.
It has to be.
No. Because right now, they have absolutely no response to the Templar Assassin refraction, right? None of these heroes have any damage over
Right.
time or build damage over time. Maybe the Tusk grabs an Urn, but I'm not even positive that the Urn charge damage is high enough to lift refraction charges.
Right.
I don't know that off the top of my head.
So what I think we see here is they're arguing right now. They're saying we have to ban it. No ban Ursa, no ban Silencer. They go with the Ursa, and I have to assume this will be a Silencer pickup. Or, like you said, something with a quality damage over time spell that ticks very, very quickly.
It's either a Silencer or it's something that pushes really hard for the safe.
That's fair.
But those are the decisions. Those are the reasonable decisions I think that they can make. One issue I see with the Silencer pick is that they don't really have the ability to grab towers, and the Sven will give them that ability to knock down towers. That
so
is your
they get
cleave,
tower and push, but how do you deal with the TA now? If you're looking at this from SBSU's perspective, what's your answer for TA? You know, Penn State's got to be happy as a clam.
Yeah. So this TA player is going to get another opportunity to show what he has, why it was worth a double pick on this, a double dip, so to speak, on this TA. He maybe shouldn't have gotten that opportunity, but he'd better impress.
It seems like
last game he got trounced because he was so hard counted. But this game, he's got no excuse.
Well, it seems like Stony Brook is doubling down, saying, you know what, we were not impressed by your play, Woo Woo. We're going to give you a chance to show us exactly what you got. And that seems to be the moral of this story. So we're obviously going to keep an eye on the mid lane to see what Woo Woo can show us all as this game gets underway. No pause, so quick intros. I'll take PSU this time on the dire side. We've got Woo Woo taking a train ride right to the mid lane to prove her worth. Amuro on the Disruptor. Going to be following her down the mid. We're going to have the D on the Spirit Breaker, hoping to give it to the opposing team. QQQ on the Gyrocopter, seeing if he can make something work this time around. And obviously your neighborhood friendly player going to bring up the Bane, a powerful hero. Will the hands that hold him be strong enough?
All right, and here for the Radiant, we have SBU. Only Hope hammering it out on the Sven. Live Evil is rolled around on the Tusk. Heartless is screaming his head off on the Vengeful Spirit. Dave will be taking that Outworld Devour, and Ryoke is healing it up on the Omni Knight.
And those are your lineups as everyone heads to their position. Looks like you were correct about the offlane Omni Knight. Is that something that we've been seeing more and more of lately?
You see it sometimes. I wouldn't say you see it a lot. It's something that's definitely more popular in the Americas than in other regions at the professional level. How these players feel comfortable with it and in what conditions they feel comfortable with it, I wouldn't be able to tell you. But it's something that is very situational.
Sorry about that, guys. If you do see the camera lag for a second, it is because we don't have a dedicated ops here, and my son, I love him to death, but he is giving me quite a cold, so sometimes the man's just got to blow his nose.
You know, they're little sacks of germs.
Oh my God, you don't even know. I was never sick, and then I had a baby, and now I'm sick like once to twice a month.
He's not even going to school yet.
I know.
Wait till he goes to school and brings it home. It's going to be joyous.
You guys, you're in college. Live your life. You know, have kids once you build up an immunity to everything. All right, let's look at this.
Giving you that nice PSA. Always wear protection.
Oh, that's what it was. This is what that service was. All right, so the mid is being harassed very aggressively. Defy having a tough go of things as Woo Woo gets a little bit of help from his friendly player. No surprise there. Woo Woo's got to really try to level out against this OD. Let's talk very briefly about this middle matchup. It's important for Woo Woo to get ahead. It's going to be a very important game for him. How do you usually see TAs line up against the OD?
This should be a relatively easy matchup. He's not going to have a ton of mana, but because he has a bottle, he's going to be able to refresh his mana pool very easily. And then he has refraction, and like we said, OD does not have an answer to that, really. So a level or two into this, once Woo Woo's range starts to build up from the side blades, this shouldn't be a particularly difficult lane. They should go kind of toe-to-toe.
All right, so let's see how that goes. Heartless is going to come in, puts up some right-click on friendly player. Might take a little bit of return damage from Woo Woo. Chooses not to make the right-click. Doesn't want to lose any of his refraction charges to the creeps. QQQ on the top against Ryoke. Ryoke doing a good job of mixing it up here. Goes for some heal nukes, backs away. It should be an interesting lane to keep an eye on, so we'll watch that as well. Live Evil circles around behind D. Only Hope gets a big stun up. They want to make the chase happen. They've got the shards and the snowball. Only Hope has got 2 mangoes, so the follow-up stun is there if D stays too close. Only Hope has let him get out of range, though, so we'll just be harassed as D falls back. I thought that would be a kill, but I think that Only Hope thought D would run faster than he did.
You know, it could have been, especially if the Warcry was there, right? That bonus speed to catch him. I think that Only Hope is just more interested in the farm at this stage.
Right.
They don't really getting kills doesn't seem to be a big part of this lane strategy.
Which I understand with the Sven, you want to get him up and running very early. Farm's going to be super important, and you don't want to take the risk of trying to get those last hits. Friendly player going to wrap around, wants to go into Vade. We got a charge coming from the river, but it's a little deep. D's got to cancel it. And now he's had a wasted rotation as he sort of figures out, where do I go from here? Purple's going to find him. Heartless watching from the high ground, but that's a haste turn on D, so D can be a little bit crazy. He does have no points in empowering haste, so don't have to worry about too much additional damage from him, and he will have to back off. Nice 17% stun, though.
Bash hurts like hell if you have a haste turn, man. Level 1 bash took a quarter. Maybe not a quarter, but definitely a sixth of her health.
Did he preset that bash? I didn't notice or not.
I haven't seen him PRD manipulating now, if that's what you're asking.
It is.
So I think that was just a pure 17% luck.
17% winning. All right, 300x.
Right now he should be PRD manipulating.
Right.
He should be, if he's not going to be doing much, he should be trying to get up to at least hit for deny on creeps and counting out his ticker.
Oh, you're right. Makes sense to deny. All right, Evil comes in. D gets in some trouble, gets popped with the stun from behind. Evil locks him in. He's got the shards, but the charge away. There's nothing they can do to stop that, as they don't have a stun available to pull him out of it. So he'll run up, but the problem is that takes him out of lane, makes him even more uncomfortable as this game will continue. His last hits are dismal at 0-1. His levels are worse at 2 as he goes up against the level 4 Sven. Things will continue to get harder and harder for this SB as he spent most of his T game out of position here on the bottom lane.
Yeah, SB offlane is really difficult to execute correctly, especially if your team isn't coordinating perfectly, because you spend time out of your lane. You can't really contest your opponent's carry. Really, the only way that offlane Spirit Breaker works is if he's regularly getting kills in other lanes, or if the heroes, the support specifically, from his other lanes are rotating to his lane very regularly, and neither of those things have been happening here.
Venge and Tusk on standby in the mid lane. Bane looks like he wants to get a little bit of action as he looks at the high ground. But nice vision out here from the Dire to make sure that no wraparound ganks catch him out of position. D's going to go for the rune, but he runs right into Evil, who picks up the rune at the last possible second, then moves on D. D's got the charge up if he wants to use it, but he's stunned inside of the Roche pit. We'll see Evil on the follow. Looks like they want to try to stop him, but a good job going into the blind spot, then charging out of it so he doesn't get hit by the snowball.
Yeah, no, that was a really good play. Just utilizing the guaranteed vision.
Speaking of a snowball, Woo Woo comes in. Refraction is shed, caught inside of the ice shards. The chase is on. Woo Woo wants to run. Refraction is going to come up. He gets used. Live Evil circling around, trying to make something on Astral Imprisonment. There they go with the follow. He could be in some trouble. The shards are up, but friendly player with the save. Beautiful shot. Gets a little bit of a counter punt at D just to get because he's angry. But what a rescue. Bane with the TP rescue on that Templar Assassin.
Yeah, honestly, Dwayne probably could have lifted that sleep and let the Tusk get the kill.
Gotcha.
But it would have been hard, right? I mean, you can see what I'm saying, right? The Tusk was close. He had the ice shards up. He probably would have been able to get in there. But that is a very high level of communication in the moment.
That would have been a next level move to the next level play by Bane. Like it would have been two or three levels higher than I expect in this match. So Ryoki comes forward, does get hit by QQQ. Amaru doing a good job of harassing. Did put an early point into Thunderstrike to cause Omni a little bit of a headache. Omni all completely out of regen, sitting on the Soul Ring though, so he's been able to utilize that to try and keep himself relevant. 11-1, level 5, but that Gyrocopter's scary at 30-14.
Yeah, this is a case of at least the mid lane is going well for PSU now. Exactly as we said, this is a much easier lane for Woo than it was before. He's starting to kind of strut his stuff. His supports, though, are not going out and stacking very much here. We've got one stack there, but the Ancients are really what you want if you're...
Oh no, only hope, only hope, only hope's got a turn, puts up the stun on D. Now that Chase wants to go, he's going to pop his 3. Well, he pulled aggro off of the tower sooner than he thought he would, and that almost cost him. Had a TP come out a little bit earlier, that would have been real trouble for only hope. So, a bit of a risk, but he gets out of it.
What I was going to say is, especially if your TA player likes to rush Desolator, which it seems Woo does.
Woo does. Getting
those ancient stacks, which is absolutely crucial to making that item worthwhile this early in the game.
Are they getting? They're not getting any ancient stacks just yet. Woo is going to go into the jungle. It looks like for a nice big round of regular stack, and he'll farm those up very quickly with the side.
Ryoki is playing very dangerously up here. He should die.
He done. He did.
Yeah.
So that's the first blood, 6 minutes and 45 seconds. Different game than last time around. As the first blood takes a while, Amaru drops low to the credit of Omni Knight, but not low enough. But they do have to rotate 3 to kill an Omni.
Well, no, they have 3 up in that lane anyway. Right?
I thought they rotated one person up there. But I guess that was Bane just returning. Bane, by the way, doing a great job of keeping these stacks up and really trying to make Woo Woo's ability to get ahead in this match very, very strong. He has a invisibility rune bottled. See if he uses that when he chooses to come out back towards lane. DeVay, happy with some free farm. Live Evil going to come by and show himself, as well as put up a nice ward here, which, honestly, with that invis rune, could potentially catch that TA off guard if she moves back to lane.
She should have an idea because one of her traps disappeared just now.
There you go.
And unless she doesn't know how many traps she has down, that should clue her off that there is a sentry in the area. I would really, really like to see the supports for PSU rotate to the bottom lane here. You've got a Spirit Breaker who's been basically completely zoned out. The only way he gets kills is with assistance. You've got a Bane that queues up very well with the Spirit Breaker. And then they'd also be able to get these damn Ancient stacks that I've been rattling on about for a while.
That would be nice. Now we see D still under some assault. They do rotate Live Evil down, so the opposite teams decide to rotate a support to come down and harass D. D sees him on the low ground, so Live Evil says, I guess I'll just come up with the push. Meanwhile, in the jungle, we see Heartless on the rotation as well, as SBSU has stayed very active so far in this match. Ryoki could be in some trouble. Here comes Amaru. He's got everything he needs to stop Ryoki from running. Gonna throw down the kinetic field. He's stuck inside of it. Lots of space to run, though, and out comes the OD. So Ryoki, instead of running, wants to make the chase happen. Disruption, going to send the OD back a little bit to buy some time. Ryoki sticks around, though. Puts some damage on Amaru. There's the stun as Heartless has arrived as well. And that's a kill. Ryoki takes it with the nuke. And what we thought was going to be a gank on the Omni ends up going in the opposite direction and becoming devastating for PSU.
This is being much better played here for PSU in general, but that play specifically seemed a bit overly aggressive.
Yeah.
They know they don't have the ability to really knock this Omni Knight down because they don't have any hard stuns to hold him down right now. Even if they throw up the wall, right, the kinetic field, he can walk right through it with Repel, so who cares?
That's a good point. All right, now we see D makes a move on Only Hope. Only Hope pops him with the stun as the charge attempt happens. Only Hope then mangoes himself back into a almost full mana bar, and D has no choice but to fall back behind the tower, which is at half health right now. In the mid position, we saw some chips from the TA, but not quite enough to take the tower down, as TA will head back into the jungle to continue to farm up as much as she possibly can out of these jungle camps. Back to the bottom where D makes a charge on Only Hope. Only Hope turns back around, gets a crit and a stun, decides not to pop the ulti and go for the kill, and backs into lane. This guy loves farm.
Yeah, well, once again, he doesn't know who else is kind of around. There's a lot of people in the jungle for PSU.
That's true.
One of the things that they've been doing well is staying off the map, so that it's very difficult for their opponents to really plan on engaging, feel comfortable moving in and engaging into the tower.
Woo Woo now stacking the ancient camp. Had to go do it
There we
himself because nobody else was. We'll rotate down to the bottom and look for a rune. So a nice little combo stack rune rotation. I would have liked to have seen that a little bit earlier, but hey, you take what you can get. Now we see DeVay going to go up. He gets the arcane runes. He's going to be quite happy about that as he heads back towards the lane. But that's one thing that I do question. That's something you want to see out of those TAs, especially if you know you're going to buy the Desolator. Those early rune stack rotations.
Yeah, you know, it maybe not as much out of him, just because it's his job to apply pressure onto the OD as well. It's nice if he can, but he needs to make sure he's controlling these runes. One thing I will say is that the Gyrocopter has been doing very well here. At 10 minutes, he had 73 last hits. Granted, that was a triple stack in the jungle as well, but out of 82 possible lane hits, he had probably at least 65, maybe more. That's a really good early game start.
Absolutely. And I did hear chat ask about the other guy. The other guy is Gorgon the Wonder Cow. He is not Nahaz. He's sort of our discount Nahaz.
That happens to me all the time now. I don't know what happened over the last
seriously though. If
6 months.
If Ryu Ubruz looks like a discount Matt Damon, you sound like a discount Nahaz.
You know, the thing is, I used to cast a lot with Nahaz, but you know, before Nahaz was
that had to be confusing.
A household name.
Right.
And nobody ever said these guys are identical sounding. But as soon as he got big, yeah, everybody thinks that I sound just like. I'll take it as a compliment.
I think it's because you talk like Nahaz with your love of stats and numbers.
I think that is probably it too. I'm a little bit verbose as well, right? Yeah, I prattle on. That's all right.
You guys are statophiles. It's cute. All right.
Statophiles.
Is that a word? Because if not, I think I just made it up, and I'm happy with it. So I'm gonna use that a lot.
I feel like you can definitely get away with that as a word. So look at the Spirit Breaker.
Right.
He's totally zoned out.
He's hiding.
He's literally exactly.
You know what he looks like? He looks like those creeps in the last game who were just chilling in the trees.
The Earth Spirit.
DeVay gets caught by the Bane. That looks really cool. Sorry, that was actually Boss. The Nightmare on top of Devi's large head model is super cool. All right, now they move on Devi, come out, put a nice kinetic field. I want to say Amaru's kinetic fields have been very strong in this match. Goes out, puts up the silence. That might be enough. Woo Woo wants to make the chase. Devi gets healed by the Omni Knight. So damn strong. Call down comes out. They want to keep the chase going. Ryo's got to fall back. QQQ puts up the damage, and the Omni Knight tries to save himself, but he can't do it. Ulti is burned for naught.
Yeah, Ulti, not to mention his hero, burned down to the ground.
And that was one of those ultimates where you hit it out of desperation. The second you hit it, you go, oh, a bad idea.
Yeah. The rocket barrage not being physical damage definitely ate up a bit of his confidence there.
Gold lead 500 XP at 750, a much closer match than we saw last time around. Let's flip over to the net worth stack for you guys to look at. The Gyrocopter #1, but Sven a close second. We've got the TA at 3, and this is exactly the opposite of what we saw in the last game. SBSU had to control the top 3 spots. This time around, PSU doing the same. So it sounds a little bit like maybe that dire advantage statistic is coming into play in both of these matches tonight.
You know, and I think PSU are being allowed to play the game that they like to play.
That's true.
You know what I mean? They're not being forced back. And also, it's worth mentioning that Radiant side here, SBU, they don't have a lineup that really gives them a lot of incentive to take early engagements. Before they had that silencer, and they wanted to snowball the silencer with the intelligence seal. They don't have anything like that this game. So if they can get early kills, that's great, but it's not foremost on their mind. It's giving PSU a lot more room to play with. All
right, Devay gonna go ahead and kill that ward. Bane denies it. Bane denied his own ward and kept that 50 gold for himself. I like it. I don't see a lot of ward denies, and I got to show some respect, some shout out to Bane for doing that. It's like something I've never even, I mean, honestly, I've never even thought about doing it. I'm just like, my ward. But
picking up a sub 14-minute Desolator.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. If he had some ancient stacks, he'd be able to get a quarter of that cost refunded to him right now. Too.
Well, it seems good. Seems like the TA's been doing a good job. Woo Woo on the wrap. Now the charge for the Sven. They need to kill Only Hope. He's had a good start to the game. Here they go. Big stun comes in, follows with the second. Want to move from the backside. There's the slow. Woo Woo closes, turns back around on D. D in some trouble, but Bane's there. Puts up the Fiend's Grip. The stun was used on the wrong player. They stunned Woo Woo, but maybe not the wrong players. Woo Woo's in some trouble. Woo Woo goes for the TP, gets rocked as the Devi comes in. Puts out a huge ultimate. D's on the run. Bane's on the run. Everyone wants to get out. Oh, unfortunately, they miss with the kinetic field, and that will allow safety for the rest of the team. So we saw an initiation, a massive rotation by everybody on SBU, and it had to happen because they had to get a kill on that Templar assassin, and they got it, Gorgon. Boy, did they get it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Gyrocopter is free farming top, though, so at least they are getting something out of it, PSU. Losing that Templar assassin is definitely painful. She is top of net worth barring the carries. She's definitely doing much better than the OD.
Wow. I'm sorry, it was a great rotation.
I get my complimentary hit of acid before this game, and you definitely got yours.
Only Hope on the charge, making a move. They want that Sven. They've been working hard to get the kill on him. He survived last time. Will it happen again? They know TPs are down, so they won't come in for the save. Only Hope gets a big AoE stun, but it's not enough, and that was a great play by them to utilize the downed TPs from the opposing team that had just come off a cooldown to make that rotation stick, and they finally get the Sven that they've been trying to get for a minute here.
I've been told by the chat that our volume options are still a little bit issued, so I don't know if we want to just go through it. Apparently you are about 50% louder than me, which sounds like a lot to me. That must be a made-up statistic. Up top, we're going to have some engagement here. His friendly player is going to be hit by the Tusk. He is going to try to steal a bit of his health and get back. The Omni Knight's ultimate is going to go out as the magic missile goes there as well. The wall is there. Friendly player trying to get away from the back end. Meanwhile, Gyrocopter is going around the outside. There's the self-sleep for the deny, and the purification is not in time. Gyrocopter going back into the fight. I'm not entirely sure why. He's trying to bait it out. He's got the rocket barrage. That's enough damage to make it happen. Now the Spirit Breaker's charge is moved over onto Ryoki. That should land. There is no ultimate, though. Ryoki should be able to walk away from this one. No, the Disruptor manages to get him back. The silence is there, and QQQ should be able to burn him down.
PSU Well, my volume's at 14%. I turned it down from 20, so I don't think I can justifiably go lower than that. So we'll see if that helps at all. What a team fight. What a great show for PSU, who picks up a really good push and gets some pickoffs that they needed to kind of secure their lead. You see the drop-off. 1,000 gold was on SBSU as they had managed to make a big comeback on the pick for the TA, and now they're down to a negative 2,500. So a huge spin going into PSU's favor to secure this portion of the game. That Desolator really putting in some good work.
Yeah, and they're thinking about going into Roshan. They're at least checking it, putting down a side trap. They maybe could do it if they got their entire team there to tank, but Desolator's negative armor is not quite enough to make it doable for them with their lineup at this stage. At least not without their whole team.
Fruits have seeds, vegetables generally don't.
Well, I mean, they have,
but it's not in the same context.
Right? Yeah.
I'm just trying to help out. I'm just trying to help out Twitch chat that's arguing over potato as vegetable or fruit. All right, gold lead is 3,000 for PSU, XP at 2, and PSU looking good in this match. It's starting to smell like a game 3.
I love that Twitch chat is going on. I just looked over because you had said it. So I hadn't looked at Twitch chat in a while. They've been going on about that for a while.
It's been a back and forth, but I can confirm a potato is
yeah,
a
it's
vegetable.
definitely a vegetable, unless you're talking like, what does it qualify as in your day-to-day diet, in which case it's a starch.
Yep.
Don't eat a bunch of potatoes and be like, yeah, now I don't have to eat carrots or rutabagas.
Nobody eats rutabaga.
I honestly, I'm not entirely sure I would be able to tell you what a rutabaga was if you held it out in front of me and said, what is this?
You want a delicious
And I
new
ate some
you want a
weird
delicious
food.
new vegetable? Try a jicama. All right, we're gonna go to the bottom lane where we see a smoke rotation. Only Hope out in front wants to get the stun up, but they smell it. They smell it. Friendly tries to make a dash for safety, but not gonna happen. In comes the stun. Rocked by the ice shards, makes his move. Good save on himself. The call down is gonna hit everyone, but Only Hope wants to keep playing. The heal comes out from Ryoki. Ryoki dropping low. Live Evil gets caught inside of the Fiend's grip. He's got to turn around and run. Can he survive? He does manage to live through the tower attack. Amaru goes forward. Gyrocopter as well. Gyro goes down. Amaru takes some damage, gets swapped back for death. D comes charging in, but the rest of the team is there. The stun's not off for Only Hope, so he's got to let D go. Fakes the stun, ends up not using it, and they get a triple on the smoke rotation. Literally, SBSU got so much more than they thought they would off of that smoke initiation.
Yeah, the reinitiation from PSU seemed a bit optimistic to me. After they managed to disengage, having the Bane turn around and ulti there just really incited a powder keg of activity that did not end well as a chain
Speaking of
reaction
not
for
ending
them.
well, Woo Boo Boo gets caught in national imprisonment. Looks like they want to fight this. Heartless is here. He's got the stun. He's going to go ahead and utilize it. Woo Boo Boo makes the jump and the nuke. That Desolator so goddamn strong. D now wants to move on Sven. Sven gets caught inside the nightmare. They make the chase happen. They go for the stun on D. D's the one left behind. D's in some serious trouble. Can he get out of this one? One more right click will do it. D goes down. Now they want to turn back and go for Bane. Devi on the chase. Has national imprisonment on standby to use if they can close the gap. They decide it's not worth the trouble of the chase, except for Only Hope, who says, I love killing things, and keeps running forward. Woo 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 is now here to fight, pinged out by Ryoki, but now this is going to be the death of the Sven.
Okay, while we have this pause, this is the last time, I swear. Let's turn game volume down and turn both of us up in equal increments. I feel like we're doing chemistry. Like, all right, now put the salt
If I turn
in.
game volume down, it's going to reset all my camera settings.
No, it won't. Just do it in your Windows taskbar.
Oh, that works. Good idea.
Yeah, there you go. And check Skype while you're in there, because my suspicion is that the Skype volume is lower than the normal
Nope,
volume.
Skype is maxed.
What that's going on? I don't know.
It's only you. Everybody else I play with, no issues whatsoever.
You know, no, it's only you, because everybody else I cast with, I have no problems.
Not true.
Either.
Not true.
All right. We're gonna have Sven coming in here. Well, that'll work.
Wow. Go ahead and call this one.
All right, we're gonna have Only Hope trying to chop away here as QQQ is using the rocket barrage to burn him down. Here's the ultimate, and that's a bit of a 3-2-2 as we've got 3 heroes down, but the snowball coming in. Live Evil going for the Walrus punch, but it is not enough. 4 for 2 trade, going the way of PSU. That pause really seeming to help him out.
All right, so I got word from Zingle that our balance is okay. I turned down the game volume. That way you guys can turn up your computer volume without suffering too much.
There we go.
We should be in a good balance position now. I don't know why it happens. Snuggy jumped into Skype after you and I cast last week and literally blew my eardrums up because
I don't know.
my Skype was set so high.
It is.
It's just us, man. It's like Skype knows we're too good of a team and tries to mess with us.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back at the mid, Heartless is left headless.
Roshan more than halfway done.
Yeah.
Now that there is a pair of drums up as well on QQQ, in fact, almost completely drained already. Drums of Endurance, they're really utilizing those things.
Yeah. Well, that's death to the Roche, 8-12. Gold lead went back to a little bit in SB's favor, but it's now back to 2000 in PSU. So the kill count does show a pretty significant advantage to PSU. That said, SB has been sticking to it. Other than getting caught in a couple of unfortunate counter initiations, such as what happened on the top lane when Sven, for some unknown reason, ran way too deep after they got a good fight for themselves, they are still doing okay. And you have to argue that without that one or two mess-ups, flubs on their part, SBU would still be in control of this game and would be doing a very good job. So if they can shore that up... Uh-oh. Only Hope caught the charge. The nitrous oxide is initiated. Only Hope's got nothing left. He's killed down. Only Hope, if that is actually true and his namesake is the real deal, I don't think they come back into this one because he has been getting lit up over the last couple of minutes. His Sans Yasha is wonderful and all, but not when TA is getting out as far ahead as she is. 2,600 in the bank.
I think we figured out what the deal is with Woo Woo. Woo Woo is a pretty strong player, has decent decision making, but on this particular hero, she shines much better when she gets a Blink Dagger Desolator. Now, granted, that can be said for every player, but she's been making some really solid decisions now that she has the ability to actually get out.
See, I play a lot better when I get the items that I want.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, not to say that she can't play without those items or whatever, but we've been seeing a serious uptick in her overall efficacy since, you know, she managed to get
she's done a good job of showing us that the pick of the TA is far more justified than it was in the last game. Now we're going to come forward. Nice D ward from D. PSU playing this very, very well. Reiki going to go ahead and dodge through the trees as the creeps track him around. Now they know exactly where they are on the defense. Dire with some really great warding to lock in the push position. Disruptor, Live Evil goes and gets the Bane. Woo 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 is dominating now. The chase is on for friendly player. They want to try to get a 1-for-1, but it's not really a worthwhile 1-for-1 as Woo Woo now comes in because they're out of position. They push too far forward to get that kill. Woo Woo won the chase. Devi goes ahead, uses the imprisonment to buy a little bit of space, but D is here. D's got the charge, closes on Heartless. No ultimate though, doesn't matter. Wants to keep the chase going. Silence is up. Can they chase behind the tower? They do. He's caught inside the kinetic field. Nice ulti from the OD, but it's not going to be enough. That's a 1. That's a 2. That's a 3. That's a 4, and that's a team wipe. As all of Radiant got wiped out by PSU, who is in as much a control of this match at this point as SB was in the last game.
Yeah, and another big problem here is that even after stealing some intelligence through that fight, OD still doesn't have more intelligence than the gyrocopter. So you're not really to the point. The build that he's gone for is a bit of intelligence with the 4-staff Null Talisman. It's not abnormal as a build, but he's not gotten really any legs out from under him, or legs out under him, I guess I should have said, not from under him, for this mid game. Now their stacks are being stolen as well by Woo Woo.
All right, gold is at almost 10,000 right now. XP has crested that, and it looks like PSU will take the safe option and go back and do some more farming. Well, I guess they got the top. They got top of the entire bottom grouping to push through. So they've got to go through all of the bottom lane as well as that last tower on the top. Does SBU have enough time, based on the tower still required to get to the high ground, to put themselves back into this game?
Yeah, I think that they do. As long as they are very concise with their defenses, they don't go out too far. They might have to sack a tier 2 or 2 to make sure that they're not taking bad engagements, but their high ground defense is okay, especially if they manage to get somebody caught on the wrong side of an ice shard. OD can force staff them onto the high ground. Ice shards can go out, and then suddenly it's a 4v5, right? They have the Omni Knight as well, which will make a lot of difference for these high ground defenses when you have everybody bottlenecked up. The problem is if they go out and try to get these sorts of pushes done and don't win these fights, they will just slide irreparably behind.
They look like they want to go for the mid, but immediately Woo Woo comes out. Woo Woo TP's in. Now he's got the backer from QQ. Big call downs, forces everybody back. Only Hope left behind, caught in the Fiend's grip, and left for the Worms, man. Devi's 2 hits away from dying. The slow does come out. Woo Woo with the blink finishes the job. Beautiful. And now they push down the mid position, having taken out the 2 biggest threats on the opposing team. It's exactly what you said, Gorgon. They came for the push. They lost the fight. And it wasn't even they lost the fight. They lost the retreat.
Yeah, well, it's just like in the real military, right? You lose more units when you're routing than you do when you're fighting.
Wow.
They should have known that that's what was going to happen. You could see it very clearly as they were walking up that was going to end with them probably dying. But
12,000
they're
gold,
they're
XP
anxious.
at 14. And that's what they know, that their time is ticking. They know that they're running out. They want to try to make something happen. Now we're going to see the push in the mid position. Buyback used on the OD, so that's a really great scenario for PSU to force a buyback out this early. We see a snowball, but all that might do is put them out of position. They have to be very, very careful as Woo wraps back around. And now we will continue to see the assault of PSU continue, and they will spread out and go push that bottom tower, which is actually being pinged out for defense in a strange way by the guys from SB. So I assume that they'll just let it fall and prepare their high ground defense.
Yeah, they probably could go try to get this top tier 1. There's no backdoor protection on this tower. With God's strength, they could knock it down in a matter of seconds, probably. If they can't get this tier 1 defense, which they absolutely cannot, right? It's too far away for them to even get there to engage. And B, they haven't really shown the ability to take these fights. They need to get something done. They're going to go for the mid lane tier 1 instead. They should be able to find a trade here.
All right, looks like they're going to get that tower mid under assault, and no TPs, so they'll allow them. Oh, many TPs. Now it's time to run. Only hope. Here comes the charge from D. Pops the BKB. Call down on 4. It's going to be a massacre. That's 1 down. Now they make the chase on 2. Will they finish off the spend? They do. That's 2. Ryoki in some trouble. Goes for the force staff to buy some time. He's in trouble, though. He's left behind. Gets up the heal nuke. Tries to pull him in the opposite direction. They let him go as Disruptor wants to make the chase go. Heartless in some trouble. He's going to go down. That makes it 3. Omni Knight still being chased pretty aggressively. Goes for the TP. Will he get to safety? He does. And the last man standing is going to go down. It's DeVay, and they get everyone that matters. The Omni had a slick play, tried to pull him off after him to buy a little bit of space for the retreat, but it wasn't going to happen. It makes it a 4-man wipeout. PSU continues down the middle lane. They don't have to push that bottom tower. They can go high ground right now.
Yeah, I don't see anything to stop them from that high ground. They're 15,000 net worth in the lead. There's a BKB on 3 of the 5 heroes here for PSU. They don't even need those, probably.
All right, here they go. They start to lean into it. Tower going to go down. Here comes the Rax. The question is, will Stony Brook choose to keep the fight going, or will they GG out and just go to the next one like we saw last time around? Maroon from the player caught inside the ice shards, starts to lay into the ranged Rax. No big deal. Big swap on Heartless. Here comes the last stand. Amaru dropping pretty low. QQQ caught out by Only Hope. He's still alive, though, in time to get the call down up. It'll kill Live Evil, and it goes 1 for 1. D comes in, has to run away. He gets himself in a little bit of trouble. Now he's going to pop his BKB and back. Woo, though, puts in some work, gets himself avenged, and jumps to safety. Only Hope's got his ulti running, and they will chase with it, but that may be a mistake.
Yeah. They're going to go out after
Woo thought about turning on Live Evil, but decided it wasn't worth it. Whew, I thought he was going to nuke him.
So, it looked like he was going to just disintegrate, honestly. The fact that Woo backed out there might have been a blessing in disguise for Live Evil. I'm not sure that his team was coming to back him up on that one. That's all, you know.
Right, definitely not. So Woo going to stack up the Ancients, as he's going to have a triple stack now to farm, to pack up with that Desolator, get a little more farm for himself. Looks like, what do we got on the Courier right now? That is a AC headed to Woo. So Woo will be able to finish it up here with this Ancient stack. And that, the AC feels like the death knell for PSU, or for Stony Brook, I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's not a lot that you can do up against that kind of negative armor. It's maybe even superfluously extravagant amounts of negative armor coming out of this Templar Assassin, right? Yeah. She can 3-hit creeps with Meld Strike, 3-hit, or not without Meld Strike. She can 3-hit creeps using the Psyblade damage. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. Gold lead, by the way, is at 20,000 for PSU. XP is at 20,000 as well. And it's really just a matter of not of if, but when they choose to execute the winning push. And now there is a Roche up in a couple of seconds here. They have vision on the side trap, so I imagine that the second that spawns, they will probably move in this general direction. They have vision here inside of the jungle to keep an eye on the movements of the Radiant, so it should be a pretty comfortable choice for them. It looks like they got the timer up. They're waiting. They're like, it's got to be soon. And
yeah, I mean, they got to know, right? As you said, they're going to move in there right now, I suspect. Yeah,
there's the smoke, rotation,
the ping.
Easy. What can you do? What can you do? Now, they did
and
despawn.
The answer is nothing if you are up against PS2.
Oh,
right
you pass it. You pass it. You go for the Omni. You say, that's my ward, Omni. Pops the BKB for safety reasons, and Ryoki gets sacrificed and melted. Like, that was an ice statue on a summer's afternoon, man. QQQ pushes
Roche
in, says Roche is ours. They get an
Yeah.
easy kill there. Not before TA can stop to get a little bit of farm and throw a side trap down.
Just casual side trap.
Casual side trap block, and now we're going to go and get a casual Roche kill. Woo 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 clears the space for it, and as if she wasn't trouble enough, she picks up the Aegis.
Are you hearing this squeaking?
No.
Good. Okay, never mind. There's nothing squeaking in my house. This isn't a weird conversation.
Oh, there it is. I hear it.
Dota!
Now we
I'm
hear it.
hearing Come here, Rexar. Give me that. College Dota. Sometimes my dog interrupts because he has something to say.
Well, he's got a squeaky toy. Let that dog live his life. That's what I say.
Yeah, here's my confusion. This is why I bring this up in the cast. I don't know how he got that because I keep it way up in the air, like 8 feet up in the air. So I'm bewildered. I'm trying to figure out how he even got it.
We're bringing him onto the cast in honor of the Seawolves, of course, who have had a tough game on the second one. First round definitely went their way, and it looks like we will definitely be seeing a Game 3 this evening, as Only Hope is looking to try and get a little bit of farm back in their favor. They glyph despite the boys from the Radiant side. Now they got to turn back around. He won't be able to get the last hit, so a little bit of gold stolen from the pockets of Only Hope. And now I assume that they will TP back to defend the high ground as soon as possible. That's exactly what they're going to do. Meanwhile, as the Avalanche runs downhill, so too does PSU roll down the bottom lane.
Here's what I will say. If my dog can get that toy from the top shelf, then SBU still has a shot at this game. It's not out of reach, boys. Rexar believes in you. I believe in you. Get a really good engagement here. Make me proud.
An excellent engagement could make PSU or SBSU at least have a little bit of hope. That said, Woo Woo is going to lean into this tower with a couple of hits. It's already down to half. Easy clear of the creeps. Here comes an ice shard to say maybe we can kill some creeps and back you off a little bit, but no direct engagement just yet. Woo Woo going to lose the refraction charge with blinks away, immediately not willing to risk a wipe as the tower drops very, very low at the hands of that catapult. Now they get their next creep wave. Woo 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 going to go down and put down the chase ward, the anti-chase ward, I should say, as they start to lean again. One more right click or two from Woo Woo will do it. Pops the refraction, make sure she can get it. Gets one, disjoints the stun beautifully, and now we'll go ahead and finish up the tower. Gets denied by... No, it doesn't get denied. Just killed by TA. Unfortunate. Not that the deny would matter.
Unfortunate is kind of the name of the game here. For the rest, wow, yeah. Look
There's
at that.
the call down. It's going to catch everyone. Ryoki pops the ultimate, but not early enough for OD to live. Only Hope caught in some trouble, and they're being massacred on all sides. That's one down. That's two. Ryoki on the run. Only Hope trying to make something happen. Goes after the support out of desperation, but he goes down. It's a 3. Buyback on the Sven. Now they move on the Tusk. That's going to be a quad. 4 men dead. Down goes the tower. Down goes the Rex. And honestly, PSU is having a heated discussion, or SBSU, I'm sorry, a heated discussion about whether or not they just GG.
You know what? This is a pretty one-sided game, but don't forget how one-sided the first round was,
That's
right?
true.
But in the other direction. So game 3, maybe a little bit of the hot and a little bit of the cold mixed together. The porridge just right.
So we're going to 3 in the Lena Crystal Maiden rubber match to see which one is more powerful, hot or cold. 11-31, PSU with a massive win at 32,000 gold lead. They really showed us that they were not the team that they looked like they were in the first match. My name is Toffees. You can find me at Toffees TV over on the Twitter. I'm joined by my co-caster and color man, Gorgon the Wonder Cow. You can find him at the Wonder Cow there as well. Make sure you follow us as a league at C-Star League for updates on esports, both Dota and others. We cover 5 games and give out a ton of scholarships as well as the trip to DreamHack for the LAN finalists. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. We got one more game, and it is looking like it's going to be a barn burner.